My name is Mary Jean Fritz Lewis. From the Davis family. I was born and raised in Manchester. First we lived on Rush Street, then we moved to 1212 Decatur Street. And that's where I was born and raised. My parents were Nelson and Lizzie Davis. And I know everybody knows my sister, Baby Lou Boxley. She was one of my sisters. Okay, and I'm a member of I'm a committee woman in the 21st Ward. I'm also a member on the board of the Manchester Citizen Corporation. I am now 84 years old, and I'm a proud person to be a member of Manchester all my life.
Yes, you are. Now, give me one of your most fondest memories of Manchester, living in Manchester.
This 1212 Decatur Street, because we had families. I was raised with, Bruce and Judge. Okay, they lived across the street from us. My mother and their grandmother were best of friends. My sister, Baby Lou, and their mother, Sis Hogan, were the best of friends. And it went on down. Joey and Scoop were friends with Tony and Bubby. And then it went on to the grandchildren. So we're members on that street. Everybody knew everyone. So that was some of my favorite memories. We just had a close relationship, and we still are close.
The last question, where do you think that closeness came from?
Just being together with everybody, loving one another, and sticking together. And they stuck together. You didn't do nothing because so-and-so was going to tell your mother. And you just had that community raising, which you don't have anymore. No.
You're right. Anything else you want to add?
I'm glad that I'm here and able to speak. My whole family is gone, everybody. I'm the only one left. But I'm still happy. And most of the people that lived in our street, most of them are gone. So I'm one of the oldest ones.
My fondest memory is being at Bidwell Cultural Center, the Wally Burton's track team. I was a part of Wally Burton's track team. The skating, we used to go there every day for skating, and also the talent shows in Manchester.
And let's talk about the talent show. What made the talent show so special?
Oh, they was exciting.
Look at me.
They were very, very exciting. Everybody came out to hear them, and it was like, real musicians, and so we enjoyed that there and applauding our friends and families on, and everything was beautiful. It was a great, great time, a memorable time for me.
Okay, the last question. Tell me about the community, because obviously at this time, I'm not from here, but I heard the community, the spirit of the community, I heard it was phenomenal. Tell me a little bit about that.
The spirit of our community was great. We all come together. If anything happened, we would pull together, and everybody helped each other out. We were there for each other, and our parents and things. Everybody was a great big help to each other.
They honor my dad. He was Butchie Lowry. He was the coach of the baseball team. He was just a great man. He made sure that he loved the community. So I'm just grateful to be here today.
Okay, that's great. Now, last question, real easy. Tell me about one of your fondest memories about Manchester.
My dad, I do. He was around the field. He always made sure the kids was together. Like, he just loved the kids. So that's where I get that from. Just trying to help others that, need help and things like that. So, yeah, my dad was a great man.
You didn't give me the favorite memory. You told me what he did. One favorite memory, just one that points out in your mind.
Jesus.
I know you can pull from many. I know you can.
I'm trying, hold on, because I get to thinking. Just him making sure that we was good. Like, he just made sure, I don't know what you mean with this.
Okay, so that's like, then I got it.
Yeah, like, he was just a good man. He made sure we was good. Like, he took care of us. Like, my dad made sure we was safe. He just was always there for us when we needed him. Like, if we needed to go talk to him. I remember the time, even when I got pregnant, my dad was supportive. I was young, I was 15 years old. He was supportive of me. He was mad, but he still was like, we're gonna get through this. Like, so that was a memory. I remember him holding my daughter, coming down coming from across the bridge. I was hanging, he was babysitting, and I remember him on the corner just holding her in his arms, and I was just like, I love my dad. He had my back.
My fondest memory of Manchester is Manchester days with the Allen brothers.
Talk about it.
The Allen brothers was a group that family was from Manchester, one of the biggest families still on the north side. And we would be able to go from our house at 9 o'clock in the morning and wouldn't have to come home till 9 or 10 o'clock at night when it was Manchester days only. Any other times we had to be home from the natural person, which was the street lights. He had to be home by then, so that's one of my fondest memories of Manchester.
And tell me about the day. Give me some descriptions.
The day was parades, dance, poetry, music, food, hopscotch, baseball, basketball, dice games, card games, a little nip, you know, if he was old enough, a little old English or something from one of the older people. It just was a day of unity, you know, a day of us being together, you know, sharing our fondest memories of school, who your favorite teacher was, what church you belonged to, what year your family came up here. You know, my family came up here in 1901, and my grandfather was one of the founding members of Bidwell Church. Oh. Yeah, and my grandfather was one of the first black city detectives, and my grandmother was the first black ward chairwoman of Manchester, and my father was also a ward chairperson.
My memories start from my family being from the ward section, so old school Manchester, and then growing up myself in Manchester. It was what I wrote about in my PhD paper. It was a community within the community, the arts. It was the melting pot. Manchester was right across the street from the Bidwell Cultural Center, the Black Panther House, and so on. And so bringing all that together with even white teachers in Manchester, just the whole atmosphere. And I wrote about it nationally. People know Manchester from a lot of sources, but I was one of many. Very proud. Also running from Manchester Elementary School to the Cultural Center for lunch. We didn't have the cafeteria in the school, so it made me very fast. I actually ran well in track throughout school, but it started from Manchester experiences, just being a great place to grow up and the true melting pot for the city.
Beautiful. Anything else you want to add to that?
People can learn a lot from the history as we start, you know, continuing to go with the fields and all the technology and everything happening here. It comes from rich roots. It was sad when it was, you know, turned for, you know, revitalization, pros and cons. But I hope people can appreciate the rich history, not only that has the past, but also for the future.
My fondest memories of Manchester are my family lived here all the while. I actually moved to Manchester in 1976, but a community, really just a real community, lots of activities for families and communities, and just a lot of cultural and richness within the community, and that I was able to just fit in too. So it's great being a Manchesterian.
Manchester is a community. It was a community full of, like people said before, culture. It was full of black people that owned homes, that we could play on the sidewalks and the streets. We just had fun. It was just a community, and somebody's mama would know, everybody knew each other. So you start at one end of the street and you better speak to everybody on the way down. My mother was Gwendolyn Favors, who was considered a pillar of the community. She was a person that, first of all, she worked at Bidwell Church as assistant to Reverend Robinson at the time. And she knew people in the community. She could walk down the street, somebody be drinking, they would hide their stuff, take off their hat, and speak to her. It was just amazing because she treated each person as a person. And when she passed, I still, in fact, to this day, and it's been almost over 20 years, people still will say, your mom, I loved your mom. She always treated me like I was a person, and she was always kind. So that's one of my greatest memories, is having her for a mother and being able, well, the other part was you couldn't do too much because everybody was willing to take, but I mean, we got away with stuff. But that, and then my aunt Edith, Her sister was opposite of her. She would cuss you out in a minute. But she stood, she was a fighter. She was a fighter in the community. She was on different boards also. Her and my mother would sit on the same board. My mother would lean over and say, Edith, calm yourself. She said, I'm sorry, Gwen, I got some things to say. So it was wonderful growing up with them and being part of that family and the community.
Being homegrown. I was blessed to have a large family, and I have magnificent parents. And everything in our life growing up was about our family. And Manchester was the smart place, the safe place. You could go to the doctor, you could go to the dentist, you could go to a great school, and we all cared about each other. So my fondest memory of Manchester would be that family was everything. Whether it was yours, mine, or anybody else's, family was absolutely everything. And you felt loved every day. I think when I was growing up, there was a disillusionment that Manchester represented the place where young black people were something to be afraid of. And we were, because we were smart, we were intellectual, we were strong, we loved God, we loved our families, and we stood together. I think the sense of community was, I couldn't show my behind somewhere else and not expect my parents to pick it up on their side of the street. And when you look back as an adult, you were so grateful for that, because it reminded you that no matter where you went, somebody loved you or told somebody that you loved, told somebody that they loved you, and it kept you safe. It kept you in a mindset that from Manchester, you could go to the top of the world because people pushed you there. It was the best place growing up, and unfortunately, we all got to experience that. That's why we never let go of our friendships, because everybody remembers Manchester.
Hey, so Manchester, first and foremost, the greatest place you could ever live. And I don't care where you see me at outside of the day, I'm always be repping this neighborhood. The story I give is that it's kind of funny. You see this on the top of my hat, it says Snap-on. That's mechanic tools. Well, back in the day, Stanley Lowe had a Mercedes-Benz, and I told him that I wanted to be a mechanic. He didn't understand why. He said, why you want to be a mechanic? Well, Stanley gave me my first job and lesson. And I always tell this story because he taught me something. He was moving, and he had a third floor full of books. We didn't know it was books. Stanley said, how much would y'all charge me to move the stuff? We said, oh, give us $25 a piece. We figured we're going to get some weed. We're going to get $25 a piece. Man, when we got done with Stanley, we wanted to kill him because he didn't tell us. But he said, here's the lesson you learn, son. You never take a job that you don't know what's going on and what to do. So how did Stanley take care of me later on? There was a program that came here, and I wasn't old enough to work. It was for all college students. But he gave me the job. We cleaned out all the houses in Manchester. That's the ones that Mystic and them came and remodeled, and he put me on that crew. I got my money, and Stanley told me what to do. Stanley said, look, Jimmy, don't go buy no school clothes. Go buy this house on the corner of North Avenue and Manhattan on the left. He said, go buy this house. Go get you a job. Just work the weekends. Put your money in the savings account and just pay the taxes on that house. I'm like, all for it. I go home. My mother was going to kill me. She said, no, you're not. You can't live there. So I'm saying that to say, for all the people who have things to say about Stanley in the negative, Stanley has been a positive influence on this neighborhood. He just was very I want to say stern. Like, he wasn't with no bullshit. Like, if you come with the bullshit, Stanley didn't have time for it. But I want to always say thank you, Stanley, because you helped me get to where I am today. And yes, I've been reading that book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. We didn't use the last time we talked, but Stanley Lowe, you are a legend in this neighborhood. You've done a lot for this neighborhood, and a lot of people turn their noses up at you, this and that and the. I'm on live camera. You took care of me and our family, and you really took care of me. That's why I got this hat on today, because I told you this is what I wanted to be. So I've been a mechanic now for 50 years, and I appreciate you much. And I learned a lot from you, and I'm still learning.
Taylor's Restaurant, the Chicken Shack, Pennsylvania Avenue, when it was the main strip where we used to get all dressed up to go up to the Pensy Bar, the Hi-Hat. I remember the Hippodrome Theater that used to be down here. I remember there used to be a bakery on Brighton Road before we went to the Garden Theater. so many good memories. I bought one of the new homes on Pennsylvania Avenue. I got married. I left for 5 years. I was born on the north side. I've been over here. I'm 72. I've been over here for all but 5 years. When I got married, I left and went to Westgate for 5 years, and then came back and bought me a house over here. And I just love it. I remember Beaver Avenue. I remember Manchester School, Gina College School, which is now my church. Our church, New Zion Baptist. We bought Regina Charlie Church, and we reside in there. I remember Decatur Street Alley. I remember so much. So many good things. I remember some bad things, but most of the stuff was good for me, you know. I think because in the old days, not now, but in the old days, we looked out for each other. We took care of each other. We helped each other. You know, if we seen somebody's kids, my parents seen somebody's kids, my mother was good to snatch them up or either call their mother and say, you know what, so-and-so was out there cussing, or so-and-so was doing so-and-so was doing that. You know, or I'm gonna tell your mother on you, Elaine. If you don't get off of this corner, I'm gonna tell your mother on you. I'm gonna call Laura, you know? And we took care of each other. We watched out for each other. We really loved each other down here. You know, and there's very few things, if not, that we wouldn't do to help each other. I think it's about the help and the love that we have in this little group that was down here.
My best memory is Warner Street. On Warner Street, it was that we were one great big happy family, Warner, all the way down to Nixon Street, until most of us really felt that we were related. We didn't know that we weren't related. And the thing is that we were like one great community. When the street lights came on, we were all in the backyards. And the most thing that I remember was that everybody was our grandmother and everybody was our mother. And Wonder Bread came out. And that was a highlight of all. They were giving away samples of free Wonder Bread. But my grandmother was a baker, and she said anything that stayed on the shelf past 2 days would kill you, so she baked. And I wanted some Wonder Bread so bad, but I never got a chance to taste it until I got about 16 years old. And my highlight was that in Vic's drugstore. Every August, you went there for orange soda, regardless if you wanted an orange soda or not. It was laced with castor oil, because you had to get cleaned out for school for September. And I would say, Mama, I don't want that. I didn't ask you. You're coming to get an orange soda. And so everybody in the neighborhood, we all smelled alike because we all took Father John's, and we all wore Asphixity bags. And so we all smelled alike in school, but we were very healthy children. And so my fondest memories is that it was a love and the friendship.
But a lot of people call me Rookie. And that's what I've been going through all my life. We moved to Manchester in 1955 from Aliquippa, Pennsylvania. I went to Manchester School Elementary, I went to Conroy Junior High, and I went to Oliver High School. I played ball down Saltworks. We lived on Rush Street. We lived on Fulton Street. We lived on Liverpool Street. And we lived all over Manchester. If anybody knows me, they know me as Rookie. That's all.
All right, last question. Tell me one of your favorite memories of living in Manchester.
All of them. I have all good memories of Manchester. All good memories.
Not one specific you want to give me?
I
know you got got a few in there. I tell you.
All the parties that we gave at my house, you know, because we had the party house and they were all good, you know. And I had one memory that I really enjoyed was playing ball down the old salt works, you know, playing little league ball down the old salt works and down Conroy and just playing street ball in the street, you know, and basketball down the lane and all that, you know, so.
All right, say it. Baseball? All right, I was told to ask you how long did you play baseball?
I just stopped playing ball last year, so I played ball for about 65 years, you know, so.
My fondest memory of Manchester was living on Decatur and Cedric Street when Mr. Taylor's store was across the street. On the corner, everybody hung out on the corner of Mr. Taylor's store. Everybody was there, no matter who. Mr. Taylor's was the Richie Happy Days restaurant of Manchester. I could go up to the house upstairs and look out the window and I could see who all was on the corner, who was playing, who was out there. Mr. Taylor had every song on the jukebox, the pinball machine, hamburgers, hot dogs, candy, everything. It was the Happy Days of Manchester spot at that time. Go ahead.
Now, I've been hearing a lot about Manchester pride. Tell me about that Manchester pride that you had.
Manchester, when I'm growing up in Manchester, it was very territorial. It was very territorial. You couldn't, if you weren't from Manchester, you couldn't come into Manchester. You couldn't come into Manchester, and if someone outside of Manchester came into Manchester, Manchester knew immediately that you weren't not from there, you should not be there. And my brother, Rookie, and his crew, they wouldn't allow anyone down there. So as far as pride goes, Manchester was very territorial and protective of its own.
Anything else you want to add?
Like my brother tried to say, my grandfather was a minister. We had Allen Chapel AME Church, which is still there today. We lived at 1256 Rush Street, which is now the field, the ball field. What's it called? The Manchester field. Then we moved to 1030 Liverpool Street. Then we moved to Decatur and Cedric, where Mr. Taylor's store was. I went to Manchester Elementary, Conroy Junior High, and I graduated from Allegheny High School in 1971. And everyone knows of me as Bonnie, and we had another brother named Barry, and Barry passed about 10 years ago. So it was Rookie, Barry, and Bonnie. And my mother was Miss Gwen. Everybody knew Miss Gwen. Miss Gwen had the party house. Miss Gwen watched everybody's kids in the neighborhood. So anybody could tell you about Miss Gwen and at least Rookie.
My favorite memory of living in Manchester is when we had Manchester Days right in front of my house. I mean, we always had it around the corner, but this year it was right in front of my house, Liverpool Street, and the Allen brothers used to come and play.
Talk about the day. I heard a lot about that. It's the third time it's been mentioned.
So it would be at the field for the most part. And this one particular year, there was a man there and they was selling blown glass. Like, you know, back in the day, that was like a popular thing. And it was a Pepsi bottle and it was like stretched out like this big. And I was so excited. I came home, I was like, Mom, I need some money. I want to buy you something. And, you know, my mother was like, ugh, but she gave me the money. And to her surprise, at least I did come back with something that was nice, that was different. Manchester was like always fun. There was always activities. Also across the street from my house was Manchester, the gym. And so they had skating parties. My mom had me a surprise skating party there one day, roller skating party. They had the best french fries, better than McDonald's french fries at the snack bar. Manchester really was, as an adult, I didn't know this as a child, but 1,000,000% Manchester was the village that raised kids, the place you could be that it was fun, it was safe. We had like a whole field, you know, around the corner. You had hoops, you could be outside. And even though, you know, you still had to be home early, it was safe. Like nobody was really worried about anything like, really happening to you. There was a time in Manchester at the old St. Joe's Church, which was on the corner of my street also. Liverpool Street was the happening street. They had St. Joe's parties. We used to be able to do that too. So like I said, you don't appreciate it when you're a child, but Manchester really was the village that, we're missing in today's time. Everybody knew everybody, and most people was down for each other. So Manchester was a great neighborhood to grow up in.
I'm from Manchester. I was born there and I lived there in my early life, Liverpool Street. My grandma lives on Liverpool Street currently. My mom grew up and was raised on Liverpool Street. I spent 11 years in Atlanta, so I'm what's called a boomerang. I spent 11 years away, but then I moved back to start a farm to school program and teach youth at the school I attended as a kid. Also on Liverpool Street, Manchester Academic Charter School. So my favorite thing has been blooming where I was planted. That's painted on the front of the school, but I have raised over $80,000 for farm to school programming for the youth, teaching the kids, connecting families to their food and where it comes from. That's my favorite thing.